skill set. But because of the penalty, now you're winning. Talk about winning in the margins we talked about in the open. This is what you could ill afford to do. And Wisconsin has put itself on the bind in special teams.
Best kickoff returner in the game, Caden Weegan, back deep at the 5-yard line. He's going to have a bunch of room to get going. Here comes Weegan, already one touchdown on the year on a kickoff return, but this time not so much. Great coverage, and he's whacked down at the 30-yard line.
They nailed him pretty good. That's a
small victory for Wisconsin.
They nailed him pretty good, and I think when you don't get a chance to return it very much, that happens. You know, you can't see those lanes. So, again, the rush was there, but that could have cost them.
Hey, good news for Iowa. Mark Gronowski is back under center. The grad transfer from South Dakota State. His numbers have been up and down. The rushing TDs, you'll take it, 7 of those. But he's not been as accurate as I think some people at Iowa City thought he could have been. And he's going to get an opportunity after rehabbing earnestly for the last 2 weeks on a knee injury.
And I think because of that knee, maybe that platform doesn't allow him to set up, and that obviously affects your accuracy, too, at the end of the day. But the real problem is the lack of a running game that can help him.
They try and get the ball to Weegan out in space. This may be something we see a lot of. He is lightning in a bottle. Badgers know it too. They stop him after 2 yards. Let's take a look at the starters on the offensive line for Iowa. Lauk starts again at left tackle. Stevens next to him. Jones, a lot of experience. Jennings, dunker. He is the right tackle, and yes, he can dunk. He's been dunking since he was in 8th grade, he tells us.
The big German with some hops.
And a good mullet. Kamari Moulton is the starting back behind Gronowski. Moulton's got it. His first touch gets to the edge, and it'll bring up 3rd down and short. Hustling over to make a tackle, Austin Brown from his safety spot. Let's take a look at the defense. Mike Tressel is the defensive coordinator. They love their ends. Peterson and Reiger, they can really go get it. Barton and Suggs are pluggers. Linebacker spots Allegro, Curtis. Tackett Curtis wears that green dot. He's in communication with the sideline. And in the secondary, Emilio Agard getting his first start. Redshirt freshman from Philadelphia. He's in one of the corners replacing Deani Hill. 3rd down and 3. Gronowski, pocket holds. Has a man and the pass is high. He was looking for DJ Vanami, and it's going to be a 3-and-out for the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, partner, when you get those tight twin formations and it does open up for you, you got a front-facing back end that has eyes on the quarterback, and you find a soft spot in there, you've got to place that ball right between the numbers. He had a chance to do it, but once again, on platform, not accurate.
Well, here in the upper Midwest, 2 contiguous states, Wisconsin and Iowa. And this game may be decided by 2 guys from Australia. We're talking about the punters. Atticus Bertram's the punter for Wisconsin. The punter for Iowa is Reese Dakin, both Aussies.
I say we put them in a room together and let them fight it out, right? Melbourne and Sydney. You ever seen those guys get after in rugby, man?
I'm told they don't really love each other. Well, Wisconsin, they have been up and down. That would probably be a nice thing to say. Last couple of weeks, these are the numbers, and they're not great. 252 yards per game, least among major conference teams. 3 consecutive. Holy Ron Dane, how is this possible?
Man.
3 straight games below 100 rushing yards.
Well, therein lies the problem while they're struggling right now. Simmons has got to find a way to mitigate that. And what we saw Iowa do, and they too have got issues in the running department, they use an extension of their running game with their receivers and their skill set.
Second consecutive start for Hunter Simmons. Looks the part, 6'3", 230 pounds. Wants to throw on 1st down. Ton of time. Has a man. Caught. No, incomplete. Incomplete. Bobbling it was Tretch Kekahuna.
You know, Tretch probably wish he had that. Again, the margin for error is going to be really, really narrow. When you're talking about a Phil Parker back end, those guys train their eyes on where the ball is going, and I guarantee you by the time they both made their break, they saw that ball in the air. A lot of times when you're playing combination coverage of man, your back is looking at the receiver and you never see it. These defenders see everything that's in front of them. That's how well coached they are.
Yeah, the concept that's going to come into play here is, did he survive the ground? That's what smart people say. Do you cling on to the ball once you hit the ground? And the ball was moving around his belly when he was sliding out of bounds.
Well, the way you mitigate that is just to put it on him a little bit earlier, maybe just a little bit. And Lucas looking for that kind of execution, the same thing he saw in that initial drive. Ball is up, he goes in high points, which is what you want to do. You know, I think I think that ball wiggles a little bit. Let's see what Mike P has to say.
Mike Pereira is with us. He's our rules analyst. Mike, what did you see at first blush?
It's another one of these that are close. The whole issue is the going to the ground, right? The ball never hits the ground. But if he is out of bounds and the ball is loose, then that makes the pass incomplete. So their judgment that they have to make is whether that ball came loose in at hand. Seems to me that it does. And again, on the field, what was ruled? The bobble was ruled by the official. I don't really think there's enough to change it.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, call on the field was incomplete.
I agree 100% with Mike. I just saw his hand moving as if to secure the ball further, and it's just that where it doesn't look like it's completed at that point, and his hind part is actually out of bounds at that point, so it doesn't survive.
And Spencer, it's crazy to say this because we're, 4 plays into the game, but this is an important call because both these teams struggle to make big plays. This would be considered to be a big play for Wisconsin.
I guarantee you somebody in the throw game is going to make a big play, but it's going to have to come against two of the top rush defenses in this conference and in the nation, indeed. They both are top 10. So somebody's going to have to make a play in the throw game, and it's going to come from one of these quarterbacks and one of the wide receivers.
Well, our referee is Chris Coit. He's in communication with our replay official, Rick Nelson.
You know, as this game goes on and they sort things out.
After review, the ruling on the field is upheld. The pass is incomplete. Second down.
Well, Mike nailed it like per usual, right?
Yep.
Got it.
So instead of a nice gain on first down, it's an incompletion. Second down and 10.
So I got your crack stat man over there tracking me the 3rd and longs, and this is a situation where second, but it's still long, right? And if they can stay that way, then Phil's probably going to bring more pressure than he typically does in that 3rd play.
They get it to Kekahuna. He's got the speed, gets around the edge, and is crushed. Ball comes out. Ball comes out, and Iowa says they have it. And they do. Iowa football.
The ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense. First down.
So a sudden change for Iowa. They get the turnover.
Well, Eakin Hertha, number 49, is there, and he gets ahead on top of it. There's about 4 or 5 Hawkeyes on top of that ball, but both of them get their head in there, and when you're in traffic, man, they're 3 points of pressure. Oh, my goodness. That's Xavier Wampa laying a knock on the top of the head, man.
Well, here in the state of Wisconsin, they call that the Malachi Crunch. He just got surrounded from both angles.
Wow.
Xavier Wampa, Zach Lutmer bringing the thunder, and Kekahuna. Well, it's been an eventful 2 plays for him. He was the one who bobbled the ball on the sideline and now fumbles after getting struck.
He looks like a dog with a new pan. He's not quite sure whether to eat or not. He got nailed on that one, brother. So here's another look at it, partner. You can see the traffic coming here. Wampa sizes him up. He actually turns his head to the side. Great awareness. Don't want to be leading with your helmet in that situation. He understands that he's leveraged. This really speaks to the integrity of Phil Parker's defensive schemes. He's got people all around the ball, and they have this almost like a reverse triangle. We always look for the triangle in offense with the receivers and the running backs, but he does it with his linebackers as well. It's impressive.
Now, this is still being looked at.
The runner was down with possession of the ball in his right knee. It's third down.
Wow. So Wisconsin catches a massive break.
Huge break.
Kekahuna was down before fumbling it, so it's still Badger football. It's now third down.
But at least it's 3rd and medium, right, instead of 3rd and 9 like it was prior. And so makes it a lot less arduous for Simmons to make a play in this situation. Got trips down to the field, the wide side. Let's see if one of these guys can get open in the flat. This is going to be a long throw. Wow.
No, they choose to run it.
Wow. Wow.
Right up the middle.
Oh, he got it.
And the second effort of Dylan Jones gets the first down. He channeled his inner Ron Dane.
How about that? You know, listen, I got to give it up. Give it up for Jeff Grimes on that, man. He basically tried to influence the numbers. Trips to the far side of the field and get those numbers out of the box. It worked for him. fewer numbers, less defenders, you can run on that.
There's something yellow right by the line of scrimmage.
There's a flag.
Is that a flag or is that someone's like uniform piece?
No, that's definitely a flag.
Aiding the run, offense number 57, pulling him in the field of play.
Can't buy a break.
5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. It's third down.
Oh my goodness!
They can't buy a break.
Jake Renfro, who was one of their leaders, hadn't played in recent weeks. He's been dealing with an injury. They love him. He's back at their center spot.
Yep.
But he's called for illegally aiding the runner.
And that's going to hurt. He's the guy that really is the elixir. They have not had a consistent offensive group in that 5 up since the season began. Not consecutive weeks have they been the same unit.
So it's third down and 2. Simmons, design quarterback run. He looks the part. He's 230 pounds, and he's got enough to get across and get a first down. Aaron Graves sat on him, but the chains will move for the Badgers. Let's take a look at the starters up front for Wisconsin. We just told you about Jake Renfro. Didn't play a week ago. He's back. That's a big deal. He makes all the calls on the front line. Riley Mahlman moved from right tackle to left tackle. He's been there for the last couple of weeks. Backs and receivers, Dylan Jones. He'll split time with Darian Dupree. We've already seen Kekahuna, Chris Brooks. Tight end Tucker Ashcraft, his second game on the year. First down at 10. Simmons has to get away with it way earlier than he wanted to.
Yeah, that run-pass option didn't have a prayer, man. They were all over that one, partner.
Defensively for Iowa, as per usual, strong offensive line. Llewellyn, Graves, Pace, Herkett. One change in the linebacking spot that's going to be important. Jaden Montgomery, his first career start. He's a junior. He replaces Jaden Harold, who won't play. Corners are Hall and Lee. Entringer and Wampa are the safeties. Jaden Montgomery is starting at the middle backer for Iowa. He's actually a Wisconsin native. He's from Green Bay, getting a chance to play against the Badgers. Jones bounces off the first tackler. Nominal gain of 2. It'll bring up third down and long.
I'll tell you what, these safeties, Corey Endricker and the rest of them are really lining up and reading these run formations, and they are diagnosing quickly. Number 4, the strong safety. Just keep an eye on these guys in the backside. They are something special. They tend to stay in what we call a cover 2 shell type look with 2 deep safeties, partner. But when they read a formation that looks like run, they are coming up and forcing big time.
Third down and 8. Blitz is picked up. Catch is made right at the sticks. Staying inbounds long enough to make the play is Chris Brooks.
Well, they may have had some problems with that front with Jake Renfro's penalty, but they are settling in right now and giving Simmons the protection that he needs. Look at this. The backs are picking up everybody, and a great job, even though, yes, shed and release. The ball is placed where it needs to be. You complete it, and now you're in a tough situation, but let's see if they're going to roll the dice here.
Yeah, fourth and half of a yard, I think. It says 4th and 1, but I think it's even shorter than that. And the punt team will come on. So Wisconsin's Australian punter, Atticus Bertrams, will come on to punt it away.
Coach went out there a long way, man.
End over end kick. Weegan didn't call for a fair catch. Oh, the guts of a cat burglar. Look at Weegan. He only got about 3 yards on the return, folks, but it was worth it. That was fun. Every other punt returner in the league calls for a fair catch, but not Caden Weegan. Wow. He's just different. College football on FS1 is sponsored by Graduate by Hilton. Spirited stays in your favorite college towns. We're in Madison, Wisconsin, Camp Randall Stadium. It is homecoming weekend here for the Badgers. I always like it when you have a homecoming scheduled with a big-time opponent, your rival like Iowa.
And you never want to intentionally schedule somebody you didn't think you could beat, but you can't get away with that in this conference.
Nope.
Everybody's a potential out, right?
Second offensive possession for Iowa. They get it to Weegan. This is going to be a theme. They're going to try and find any way possible to get it to their best offensive player. That is a good gain on first down. They're going to give him 11 yards.
Yeah, watch Ricardo Hallman, number 2, and watch Weegan just put his helmet right in the middle of his breastplate. Pow! Woo! Runs right through him, man. That's talk about leverage right there. Even when you get lower than that guy, physics are supposed to work in your favor. But this guy, as my partner said, he's a little different. I don't know anybody would return a pump with a guy standing right in your face like he did a minute ago.
Weegan, 5'9", 196 pounds, but he is an athlete. Gronowski, pass is complete. Making the catch, Jacob Gill, tackled immediately at the 35-yard line.
And the one thing I really like about this quarterback, the ball really comes off his fingers really tight. He missed a shot earlier. Now he's finding those zone windows and placing it right where it needs to. These guys aren't running man routes. That is to say, he's not trying to hit them in motion so they can continue on their path. They're running to a spot, leverage the accuracy and not force the quarterback to stand off a platform off that bad knee. Make it as simple as possible, pitch and catch.
Second out at 4. Moulton's got it.
Oh, nice.
He's got the first down. Couple of normal runners for Iowa, not in uniform.
Yep.
Jazian Patterson, Terrell Washington. So we're going to see a lot of Kamari Moulton.
Well, you're going to see Moulton, and he's got to be able to do this right here, right? When that end gets upfield, he's got to be wise enough not to try to get outside, let him take himself out of the play and get his shoulders north and south. That's an excellent job of filling in the gap of the aforementioned Terrell Washington and Jazian Patterson being out.
Well, Moulton's going to get a little bit of a blow right now. He's replaced by the true freshman, Nathan McNeil. McNeil's come out of nowhere.
Nice.
He's got it. Oh, look at McNeil. Some Zuzu down the right side, and he's pushed out of bounds at the 30. Pretty nice first touch for McNeil.
Yeah, and the patience, man. There's a flag going to be down. Should be there, a little jaw jacking going on maybe. Yeah, but watch this run first, and he'll sort out the paper and the laundry in a minute. Watch this move, patience inside. He knows where the pressure's coming from. He avoids that, keeps that ball in the far hand so as not to expose it to being jarred out. That's excellent running right there, man.
After the play was over, the flag came down. It's going to be a gain of 24 for McNeil.
Well, it's no secret that the run game is really what's going to help either one of these teams salt this game
They're
away.
offsetting unsportsmanlike fouls on the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 5, defense number 1. The penalties canceled. This is both players' first of the game. It's first down.
Jacob Gill, receiver for Iowa. Jameer Latimer, DB for Wisconsin.
Yeah, the senior transfer, Jacob, from Cardinal Gibbons is downfield. And, they're just getting after it, man. They're playing, they're contesting guys, blocking downfield. You kind of like to see that. The flag comes out after the fact. I think the initial engagement was okay. That's just guys battling.
Kamari Moulton back into the game next to Gronowski. They fake to him. Gronowski lobs it right side. Caught! What a catch by Hayden Large!
The ruling on the field
Oh, no catch. They wave it off.
Second down.
When did he drop it?
Well, you're talking about a game of inches in the way this play. Watch the quarterback slip right here. That affects his ability to do what we want to do. Throw the ball with accuracy. It's up a little bit high. The ball is greatly defensed on that play on the back end of it. But I think the more important thing is the execution, right? It's a game of inches, folks. If that quarterback is able to come out of there clean and then get his right mechanics and place that ball where it should, he's got a history of accuracy. He makes that throw.
Yeah, Large just had the ground help him keep that ball against his body. Second down at 10.
Oh,
Moulton's got it. And Iowa getting big chunks of yards here against this Wisconsin defense.
yeah, they really are, and they're challenging Christian Allegro, their Mike linebacker, number 0. He's the guy that's in the middle that's supposed to be spying the quarterback, but now he's having to run and chase from side to sideline, and they probably were thinking they were going to be able to blitz him a little bit more if they could keep Iowa in those third and long scenarios, but now his responsibility's got to shift to be more of a run stopper in that Mike position.
Third down and 2. Couple of tight ends in the game for Iowa. They put Ortworth in motion. He's blocking for Moulton, who's got the first down. That was nice misdirection. Good use of the block.
Yeah, I really like the job that they're doing right here with their kind of a semi-split flow. Anytime you see a tight end coming in and trap, it's an inside play. The back does a great job of just following where there was enough daylight to move forward, getting as much yards as he possibly could. Outstanding job.
Moulton's going to get another blow. We're going to see Xavier Williams in the backfield for the first time for the Hawkeyes. This is the 8th play of the drive. Williams spun down. That's Parker Peterson with the tackle.
Williams got in there. I see your boy Vanderzee in there. We hadn't seen him in a while, but he was involved in the blocking on that last game. We'll see him working in there as well.
I like it. I said my boy. Reese Vanderzee, number 15 for Iowa. He's probably going to be their red zone target. Hadn't played all season long. Vanderzee had a foot injury before the first game of the year for Iowa, but he's healthy now, and he's a big target. Vanderzee is not in the game right now.
Trips to the field. Let's see if they can sort this out.
Weegan is in the field. Weegan's number 21. They like him. He's got it. Weegan is tackled at about the 14-yard line. Now, Tim Lester told us the truth. He said, he's the offensive coordinator. He said Weegan's going to be big time involved today.
Well, he made that a point of our conversation. He says we got to get the ball to him, and that's really to his credit. Number one, how do you find a way to get to the ball? And I guarantee you a conversation took place. It's going to be either in special teams or from the line of scrimmage, getting this elite athlete in a position where he can score. That's what's going to separate them.
He's giving me Tim Dwight flashbacks.
Oh, yeah. 5
touches already for Weegan. We're tracking that all night long. 3rd down and 4. Gronowski. Nobody open. And a flag comes down. When the ball was in the air, a flag came down in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, Gronowski's trying to hit Sam Phillips. The ex-receiver was coming across the field on an over route. But again, because he was working against the grain, once again, not able to establish a platform to create the accuracy that he needs.
Offense number 58. The penalties decline. It's 4th down.
Got your boy Pieper there.
Yep, that's the right guard, Pieper. So the field goal unit will come on. Try and put the first points on the board. Drew Stevens, 9 out of 12 on the year, kicking field goals. This will be from 32 yards out. Should be standard issue. The holder's Ty Nissen. Stevens' kick.
Yes, sir.
Is true. So Iowa draws first blood. They would have loved 7, but 3 will work for Kirk Ferentz. 3-0 Iowa on top. When we come back, Hunter Simmons will lead the Wisconsin Badger offense back onto the field. Iowa leads Wisconsin 3-0. 32-yard field goal just a moment ago by Drew Stevens, who's done that a lot. That caps an 11-play, 66-yard drive. Took 5.5 minutes off the clock. Drew Stevens, congratulations. He has just crossed over Rob Houtland back in the 80s.
Nice. On
the kicking points list at Iowa. He still trails Mike Meyer, and well ahead of the pack, the great Nate Kading.
Pardon to kind of do some housekeeping here on that last drive. The anatomy of it becomes important as well, because 6 of those plays were rushing plays of those 11. So the balance is what you're looking for. Historically, nothing new around these parts. That's what they're looking for. It's truly a balanced attack. 6 of those for 57 yards rushing.
Vinny Anthony back deep. He'll watch this kick sail over his head and through the back of the end zone.
Well, do you have an answer? Will they answer, partner? That's what these rivalries are all about. You know, we talked about in the open how in this rivalry, because these states are so close together, they touch borders, they're recruiting the same type of people. These programs are in transition, particularly Wisconsin right now. They've retooled their total defensive front, and they're reaching down in places like Florida, find some of those big offensive, defensive linemen to fit a new scheme, faster, more aggressive.
Badgers are going to have Jackson Aker as the fullback. They pitch it out to Cade Giacomelli. And Giacomelli, a short gain of 1.5 yards.
Well, Bryce Hawthorne with a big right defensive tackle, number 96, man. He's so active in the middle, and that's another one of these things that you look at this defensive front that Phil Parker's put together. I guess, what was it, 13 years he was there as a defensive back, 14 last as the coordinator. This guy right here knows this program and this scheme through and through. Nothing like it.
I'm not sure there's a more respected defensive coordinator in the country than Phil Parker. Simmons,
nice job.
Up. Caught, intercepted. Bryce Hawthorne has it for the Hawkeyes.
And I'm telling you, those are successive plays. You just talked about Phil Parker. That time it was Brian Allen, number 90, the redshirt junior. All 6'3", 264 pounds of him. Number 90 gets that big mid up there, partner, and bats that one down. That was outstanding job. Watch the edge. Quarterback is framing it up. And that inside rush, that left hand gets in there. And he's got a guy in his face trying to block him out. That's Riley Mahlman. And that left tackle can't keep him out of there. He bends and turns that corner and gets that paw up. And, boy, just to have the presence of mind to go and get it. That was the guy who made the previous play. They are active in the middle.
Brian Allen, the deflection. Bryce Hawthorne, the interception. And Iowa's got it already in scoring position. The ball will be at the 24-yard line.
Ouch.
Bryce Hawthorne actually spent the last couple of seasons playing at South Dakota State with Mark Gronowski, the quarterback for Iowa now. So the Jackrabbits well represented.
I love that play right there, man. You talk about student body left. It's really a tight flowing play, and the runner just hugs that thing and just finds a little soft spot and just kind of glides with it, man. Love that.
That's the true freshman, Nathan McNeil, getting the carry. Now he's going to leave. Kamari Moulton comes back out. There's already been a steady revolving door among backs for Iowa here in our first quarter.
Well, they've had to do it because of injuries, and I guess the key thing is you've nurtured a competition situation. All of them are stepping up.
Iowa averaging 8.5 yards per running attempt so far in our ball game. Slant, caught down to the 5-yard line. Sam Phillips, his first catch of the game.
Sam was open on an over route earlier, but the quarterback couldn't set his feet to get it to him. Here, that ball is placed on his back shoulder. I think this is zone that they're looking. Combination coverage, eyes are inside. But underneath, that ball is put on that back shoulder exactly where it needs to be. Not on the inside where there's a sitting robber waiting to steal that ball away from him. That's a quarterback that's engaged at a high level.
Iowa's tallest receiver, Reese Vanderzee, comes into the game. He's 15, bottom of your screen.
Oh, fade ball. Come on.
Nope, they go to the ground, and it works! Kamari Moulton, touchdown, Iowa! How about these Hawkeyes?
I was waiting for your boy Vanderzee to cut down his split so we'd have more cushion on the fade. He was down there open, and I guarantee you what's going to happen. If they get down there again, the ISO inside, nice block. It doesn't have to be a crushing block inside, but it was a wonderful job of settling in there. Jacob Gill, the Z wide receiver, is the one that got that inside block to spring it.
Stevens, the extra point. Well, this is just an embarrassment of riches for Iowa offensively. 10 first quarter points. Good golly. It started with a turnover. Hawthorne the interception. It's capped off by a touchdown by Kamari Moulton. Tomorrow, the ALCS begins on Fox as Cal Raleigh and the Mariners look to steal Game 1 in Toronto against the red-hot Vlad Jr. and the Blue Jays. Game 1 of the ALCS coverage begins tomorrow, 7 Eastern on Fox. How about the Mariners last night?
Oh, man.
Deep into the night before they finally eliminated the Detroit Tigers. All right, with the 10 points, the Iowa Hawkeyes here in the first quarter. Spencer, they're on pace to get another 40-point game against Wisconsin. They scored 42 against the Badgers a year ago, and that really steamed Wisconsin.
And you had to go there, right? You know, it's this truth, though. It's a difficult truth. Everything in this offseason was kind of oriented toward that, with that bird in the saddle, so to speak. They even, from a strength and conditioning standpoint, centered everything programmatically around that point. Never let that thing happen again. Boy, when you're staring it down again, it's kind of tough to walk away from it.
Third series for Hunter Simmons and Wisconsin. On the run. Throw and catch. He'll get the ball out to the 40-yard line. Tyrell Henry, a gain of 16.
That's a nice little move and pitch and catch. Henry finds a little soft spot in that zone coverage. And again, to be able to hit this on the run, a wide enough look that it gives him a chance to do it. No immediate threat beside the outside rusher. And he just throws it back across the bow. I'm not so sure that ball wasn't touched a little bit too. Redirected, but Henry shows the focus to stay on that ball.
2 minutes remaining, first quarter. Oh my goodness! It's going to be a big man touchdown!
Holy.
Aaron Graves! Got there! Touchdown, Iowa! Oh my goodness! Right into Graves' belly!
Eric, he's 6'5", 295 pounds. How could you not see him? Holy Toledo.
It has just gone from bad to worse for the Wisconsin Badgers.
Oh. Well, watch Graves again, and I'm not sure what Simmons is looking at. He got knocked off the points at Graves, and he couldn't get to the quarterback, so he just said, hey, let me just get containment here, and he threw it right to him. Holy Toledo. Then the big fella showing some speed on the back end.
I think he may be short. They're going to review it, see if he got into the end zone. Worst case scenario for Iowa is at the half-yard line.
Well, I think his knee is going to be down at about 1.5. His left knee. Right there. Right there. That knee down.
Oh, my goodness. There's still a murmur.
The runner's knee was down with the ball at the half-yard line, where it'll be first and goal.
Well, maybe delaying the inevitable. It'll be first and goal from the half-yard line. That is the second big man interception for Iowa here in our first quarter. First it was Bryce Hawthorne, now it's Aaron Graves. And Wisconsin, which is already offensively challenged, is quite possibly going to be down 17-0 pretty soon.
Well, when you come into a game with as many interceptions as you do touchdown passes, that's always a concern, but you never expect a quarterback to throw it right into the waiting hands of a 300-pound lineman.
Xavier Williams is the back. It's going to be a quarterback keeper, and no signal yet.
That was a little aiding going on right there. A push, a little bush push.
Touchdown. Touchdown. Took a while, but the arm's up in the air, and it's an Iowa touchdown. They lead 16-0.
Boy, death by 1,000 cuts, man. Some of it self-induced, some of it just great game planning, and Kirk Ferentz, the league's winningest coach, putting together an excellent game plan for this one. A little push action from the back. The big fella, the tight end, large, behind for the push.
Oh my. So the Iowa Hawkeyes put 42 points on Wisconsin a year ago. They're on pace to put 68 on the board against the Badgers this time around.
Oh, man.
Interception. Aaron Graves sets up the Hawkeyes for 7 more. Iowa's defensive line showing out. Already interceptions for number 95, Aaron Graves, and number 96, Bryce Hawthorne. In the last 3 Wisconsin plays some scrimmage, 2 of the 3 plays have ended in a big man interception.
And in talking to Luke, as we talked yesterday, you know, it was really the defensive line that was really the most improved area, the one that got most of the attention. The acquisition of great players up front made a big difference, and you could see it. You know, getting Suggs in there from LSU and others had interest in them. They're improved. But it's this defensive line of the Hawkeyes that really have shown out tonight.
So Hunter Simmons will get another chance. Simmons, grad transfer from Southern Illinois, where he didn't play a ton. He was with the Salukis for 4 seasons, only had 3 starts. They came last year. This is a guy with not a lot of experience for as many years as he's been around the college game.
You know, so the mind game part of this, he's got to be aware after this game is over with, the bird's going to start chirping again. He's got to be able to handle that mental aspect of it.
Darian Dupree. And Dupree skips out across the 30. Cohen Entringer tackles him, but that's a nice gain. Pickup of 9 on first down.
That's a great little play design by Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator. He's been doing this a long time. That back is offset. He's going to come across the formation counter. He's got a lead blocker in front of him. A nice play, but a lot of eye candy. What I mean by that is you got people going horizontal, trying to affect the eyes of the linebackers. And if you can get them to look just for one moment, you can get the great kind of angles that it helps and takes to make those plays.
They put Chris Brooks in motion. Dupree still in the game. And this time tackled from behind before he got to the line. Zach Lutmer with the tackle. No gain.
Malman with what we call an if block in there, and that interior lineman. There's a lot of bumping and grinding going on inside there, but they're winning those battles and communicating with one another, and they're going to have success inside to keep those numbers down, and Kirk Ferentz knows that. And so what they're going to do to try to counter that is just to be as aggressive as they possibly can. Look at all the numbers around the line of scrimmage. This is zero coverage basically.
And they want to throw out of it. Looking for a big play. Incomplete. He was looking for the tight end, Lance Mason. So they take a chance on 3rd and 1. Does that mean they're going to go for it on 4th and 1?
I don't know if I'd go for it. It's a little bit too early for that. T.J. Hall and company is on the back end, number 2, working back there, playing great defense. And again, here's what you get for your effort with the deals and the games. Jaden Montgomery and company at that Mike linebacker position, making sure that Simmons feels him and the pressure on the back end.
I don't know if you folks can hear that at home, but there's definitely a murmur here in the Camp Randall stands. Badger fans are not happy with the start of this one. Weegan, chance to return it. And he steps out of bounds at about the 38-yard line.
Well, that guy's like smoke through a keyhole, man. He got out of there in a hurry, didn't he? He squeezed through there, man, so quick. Wow.
So 4 seconds remaining in our first quarter. Iowa's controlling this first 15 minutes, no doubt about it. 17-0 stiff arm on Wisconsin.
You know, when I asked Coach yesterday with our time with him, I said, you ever in a bad place with a good place with a bad problem? Obviously, Wisconsin is an iconic institution. But the problem he has is when you're one of these traditional entities that has to recruit a certain type of player, the transition is harder than it would be at a place that recruits nationally. Your core is going to come from this 3 or 4 state area. I know they can go nationally, but you grow them a certain way here. That's the transition pains they're dealing with.
Gronowski wants a bunch through into traffic. Wow. Oh, that's a bad idea. It's picked off. Ricardo Hallman's got it. And finally something positive for Wisconsin. On the final play of the first quarter, something to cheer about for the locals.
Now the key is, can
the end of the first quarter,
the Hawkeyes get back in this thing and then shake that off, and then can Whiskey respond to the interception opportunity they've been presented with?
So that'll do it for the first 15 minutes here at Camp Randall. Wisconsin down big, but they've got the ball. Great running backs over the years here in Madison. Melvin Gordon, Monte Ball, Jonathan Taylor, recent vintage. And if you go back into the 90s, he was a load. Ron, the Great Dane. Special moment just a moment ago. Monte Ball announced in front of the crowd. College Football Hall of Fame and also Rose Bowl game Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Monte Ball.
Al Amici would be proud. I'm going way back.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
I wasn't around then, but the Iron Horse was a man, bro. He could run it.
A lot of those running backs, though, had good fullbacks in front of them. Remember,
Absolutely.
Cecil Martin was a really good fullback back in the day here in Wisconsin. They've kind of gotten away. Oh, look at that. Alan Amici. Wisconsin's gone away from the fullback to a certain extent. We do see Jackson Aker, number 34, line up as a fullback. He's doing that right now, not technically in the fullback spot, but he's going to block, looks like.
Going to power pistol formation.
They want to throw out of it.
Uh-oh.
Simmons. That's a backwards pass. That's live. It's still live. And I think Iowa's got it.
Wow.
That was a backwards pass. That's a lateral.
Well, you nailed it, partner. It sure was. It was about maybe 5 to 7 degrees behind. It was definitely a lateral.
Kirk Ferentz is signaling it's a lateral.
No
it should
question.
be Iowa ball.
This won't be hard to discern.
It's a fumble recovered inbounds by the defense. It's first down.
Okay, so it's Iowa football. It'll, of course, be reviewed and looked at. But I think this is going to be a backwards pass, which is live once it hits the ground.
Well, from our vantage point, you'll clearly be able to see it. Watch the back. He throws it. The back has to turn backwards to go get it. That lets you know that it was not parallel.
So it seems like it's going to be a turnover for Iowa. We've got a timeout on the field. Back in a moment. Well, if Wisconsin didn't have bad news, there would be no news to tell you about. Things have not gone their way at all. It is a turnover, Iowa ball, and trying to get the ball back, Darian Dupree banged something up on his body and immediately had to go to the tent on the Badger sideline. So it's another turnover, 3 turnovers committed by Wisconsin, and Iowa is set up for success. Ball's on the 28-yard line. They already lead 17-0. Kamari Moulton patiently gets about 2 yards, maybe 3, before he's pushed out of bounds by Mason Reiger.
Interesting call into the short side of the field by Tim Lester, but I guess what he wants to do is make sure that Whiskey defends the entire breadth and width of the field, and that's keeping them honest. It's really tight quarters to work on that short side outside the hash marks on that type of play, but again, you got to defend it.
Homecoming here at Camp Randall Stadium, and it's been all visitors. The Iowa Hawkeyes flexing their muscle, leading 17-0.
This is more like it, a tight bunch to the wide side. They're going to work this side of the field.
Reese Vanders, he's in the game. They keep it on the ground.
Nice.
Moulton's got it. Moulton's got the first down to the 15-yard line. He's only 200 pounds, but he runs hard.
Yeah,
man.
and you know what's making it happen? Tim Lester's doing a wonderful job with his design. He's counter-programming. The bunch formation tells me 70 to 80% of the plays are going to come to that way. They're running opposite away from it. They're taking numbers away, and they're saying, you know what? We're going to do away with tradition. We're going to run away from the numbers. I think it's great scheme.
12 yards for Moulton. He's still in the game. Moulton, left side.
Nice.
Cuts it back inside the 10.
You know, any other back, I mean, there are a lot of backs that can make an initial cut, but Moulton has the ability to convert speed to power. A lot of times guys out of cuts don't have the power to get back upfield. That could have easily been a negative play, but once he saw where he needed to go, Kirk Ferentz, and probably what is his third option at running back, has got a guy that can get extra yards. This is a stellar performance by this second and third tier group of running backs.
8 carries, 49 yards for Moulton. He's replaced by McNeil now. Freshman McNeil caught from behind. That's a good fight. Daryl Peterson, one of the graduate students who played a year ago. And Wisconsin, embarrassed by Iowa, made a point of saying this was going to be different this time around.
Yards tough to come by inside mesh in the zone. You know, a lot of bodies inside there. But, you know, listen, there's no missing the fact that you're trying to replace the guys like a Caleb Johnson from a year ago. There's none of that around here. But the fact you've got 2 other guys that would be the starters that are out due to various sundry injuries, these 3rd and 4th level running backs are stepping up big time.
3rd down and 6. Gronowski
Nice.
Caught right at the sticks. That'll be enough for the first down. DJ Vanami.
Yeah, and I just love the fact these are just basic sit-down zone plays. You know, if you're sitting at home and you're watching, there's nothing sexy about it. He's finding the 2 defenders and splitting the difference between them. Present your numbers. Boom, there you are. 2 defenders behind you and a safety beneath. That's really about pitch and catch.
Mark Gronowski, first year as an Iowa Hawkeye, grew up in Chicagoland. He is from Naperville. He grew up a Wisconsin Badger fan. This is an important game for him personally. Williams pushed off his mark, and he'll lose yards. Brandon Lane came in from his defensive tackle spot to force the issue.
I'll tell you, Will Tackett was in there as well. Number 4, man. He comes around there, the transfer junior. Watch number 4 skim off that right side. And once he identifies it, he's going to come in there hell-bent for election. Watch him, pow, pops that guy, and then seals off that corner and is there to clean it all up. Excellent job of IDing and getting him.
So it's 2nd down and goal. Xavier Williams is the back. Play action. Gronowski. He's hobbled a bit. He's going to try. And didn't have enough there. This is a guy who is an elite runner of the football. He's got 7 rushing touchdowns on the year, but probably not close to 100%.
Well, listen, they hadn't had a guy since probably, early 2006 or 7 or so that could run like he can. And he's that guy, but he's not been able to do it because of that injury to that knee. And I think the bottom line is, can he convert the features on the whole into benefits for this team? To this point, they've been shooting themselves in the foot with turnovers.
Gronowski looks to be playing with a brace on his left leg. 3rd down and goal. They run it.
Wow.
Interesting play call. That didn't surprise anyone, and particularly Mason Reiger, who was ready for it. So it'll bring up 4th down, and the field goal unit will come on.
Well, watch Reiger here, number 22, man. He comes in, and he does an excellent job of just diagnosing that play and just cutting it off down the edge and coming right down the line. Wonderful job of diagnosing that play and snuffing it out.
Transfer from Louisville, who is really impressed in his time here in Madison. 25-yard attempt. Drew Stevens. He's already made a 32-yarder. Automatic. Well, great start for Iowa. They convert yet another turnover into points. It's a 20-0 lead, Iowa over Wisconsin. A late flag did just come in. The kick was already well through the uprights when a flag came down. We've already had 3 unsportsmanlike conduct calls.
Yep.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 15. The 15-yard penalty, correction number 17. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. This is his first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of the game.
So again, Wisconsin's going to allow opportunity to return a kickoff to Caden Weegan. We'll talk about that when we come back to Madison. Iowa Hawkeyes clearly want to retain the Heartland Trophy. They're playing like it. They lead Wisconsin 20-0. We have already seen Wisconsin commit 3 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, the most recent one by one of their elder players, a graduate student, Daryl Peterson.
He's an academic all Big Ten player, man. That you don't expect that from the smart ones. The knuckleheads, they get away with that kind of stuff, but one of your sharpest guys does something like that. That's untenable.
So with the 15-yard penalty, that means the ball will be kicked off from the 50-yard line. And they're going to put it sideways, like they may try an onside kick or a little squibber-dibber.
They got it sideways, nothing to lose.
Oh, that thing has got some hair on it. It spins right into the up back's hands, though. That was Gideon Ituka, redshirt freshman running back, who picked up the spinning football.
Well, why not try it? You know, you got a chance to put them on their heels even more. Going to have decent field position anyway, so.
All right, Spencer, this probably didn't happen to you a lot. You were on some great teams in Oklahoma, but down 20-0. What's being talked about on the sideline in that huddle if you're Wisconsin?
Well, you got to bite it down, break it down in little bite-sized pieces, right? You don't go beyond the next play. Everything has to be reduced down to win this play. And if you can do that, you try to stack them on top of each other. Nice.
Dylan Jones refusing to go down. Pushes the pile out to the 44-yard line.
And you just asked T.J. Hall if he didn't think Dylan Jones is running the ball hard. He's trying to stack these plays on back of one another. Number 2, watch him cut back. He's going to see him inside. He's got eyes. He comes off of it and tries to make a play. The cut back and boom. I'm going to nail you right there, man. He gets 4 additional yards after the initial contact. That's how you do it. These Wisconsin Badgers are still fighting.
Hunter Simmons has already thrown a couple of interceptions. Maybe they'll just keep it on the ground. They do. Jones again. Refusing to go down. Another 10-yard gain. Well, we may see a whole bunch of Dylan Jones. Darian Dupree left the game a little bit ago.
Ettringer, number 4, Cohen, the safety, man. Watch him, number 4. He's going to come in here and get. He's going to be trying to keep up with the Joneses. He can't keep up with this one right here, man. He levels it. Gets an extra 2.5 yards after that initial contact. I'll tell you, I go to war with that fella right there.
Akers in the game as the fullback in front of Jones.
Nice eyes.
Jackson Rexworth with the tackle, gain of 4.
And see, the eyes again by the back is enough to get an additional yard. Now you second and medium. You're in what we call a run pass conflict scenario. If you want to dare throw the ball, you could, but at least you keep the defense honest in that situation. The dean is trying to expect something. He's going to make sure his team stays engaged.
Wisconsin playing with a little bit more urgency this time with the football.
No question.
Simmons wisely throws it away. Badgers are without a couple of weapons. First series of the game, we saw Trech Kekahuna leave the game. He hasn't returned. Most recently, Darian Dupree left while trying to recover a ball that was lateral backwards.
I'm not quite sure what Simmons saw, but he had Ballard wide open in the back half of that play.
3rd down and 6. They choose to run it. Jones close to the line to gain, but stopped short by Xavier Wampa. Down 20-0. They're going for it.
Yep. You know, Phil Parker's already going to be ready for that. His guys' eyes are going to be front facing. Doesn't matter. Great physical effort to spin out that initial tack, but just comes up just a yard or so short. They're going to go for it, as you said, partner.
So 4th down and 1.
Got to hit that soft pocket on either side of the guards.
Out of the shotgun.
The reduction. Now the edge is there for him. Nice.
Oh, my goodness. They're going to throw it.
Nice.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, the Wisconsin Badgers can't get out of their own way. Lance Mason had a 1st down and probably about 15 yards down the right sideline.
Oh, Mason is coming across the formation, and the Mason can't catch the brick. It hits him right in the hands. Oh.
Tomorrow on Fox, Dak and the Cowboys take on the Panthers, or Matthew Stafford and the Rams battle the Ravens, or other regional action. Check local listings for the game in your area tomorrow on Fox. Here in Madison, Wisconsin, it has been all Iowa. A 20-point stiff arm on the Badgers. Mark Gronowski under center. He's got the youngster Nathan McNeil behind him. Play action. Incomplete. Dayton Howard, the intended target. Gronowski just a little bit off the mark.
Well, those over routes, hard to complete. Dayton Howard is trying to get there. He's 6'5", got great size on him. You know, if there's anybody out there on the field that can catch that and make that play, he should be able to do it. But again, man, just beyond the reach of the receiver.
Mark Gronowski won about everything you could win at the FCS level. 2 national championships, was the Walter Payton Award winner as the best overall player in the football championship subdivision. Now trying it at the FBS level. And he's playing banged up. McNeil Nothing. It'll bring up 3rd down and long.
A nice adjustment by Mike Tressel and his bunch, sealing off those backsides. You know, one of the big reasons Moulton is averaging 6.1 yards a carry is because that soft little flow back that was open has now been closed. It's just a real-time adjustment. McNeil will try his hand at it from time to time, but it's starting to close, and that's when you know you've got quality coaches in your setup, Eric, when you can in real time take away what has been explosive plays prior to that.
Playing behind the sticks, 3rd and 11. Really the first adversity for Iowa.
A little faux blitz package.
Gronowski really doesn't want to run on that knee of his. Heart wasn't in it. Mason Posa, the true freshman linebacker, makes the tackle. Yep. And Iowa will have to punt the football away.
They were trying to keep Gronowski honest, knowing that he has mobility. They showed him a full blitz, and you know, Kirk Ferentz says, hey, look, just show him a little pressure, but then bail out of there and then force this guy to run. And obviously, they're going to have to punt this one.
All right, Trech Kekahuna, who returns a lot of punts, he's not in the game right now. So we're going to see Jaden Ballard back deep for Wisconsin. Calling for the fair catch. Ballard makes it at the 17. 43-yard punt. That is right on the average of Reese Dakin. All right, Dylan Jones, your former running back. What do you see out of Dylan today?
I like the vision, right? The ability to finish the play and then hug that little nice cutback lane and then get physical at the top end of it. You know, it's one thing to use vision, but what he's doing, he's compiling all of those skill sets into one play. Finishing strong, ball security, flowing, and then here on the stretch play, he finds another soft spot in there. And sometimes when they don't break open, in that particular case, it gets you closer where you can make a tough decision on a 4th and 1 or 3rd and 2 or something like that. That guy makes it easy.
6 for 41 for Jones, redshirt freshman out of Maryland. Design rollout for Simmons. Throw is low. Was it caught? Yep, it was. Right along the sideline, Vinny Anthony. Gain of 8 for number 8.
That one was low and away a ball, wasn't it?
Anthony coming off a 9-catch game a week ago against Michigan.
Well, I like the idea of moving the pocket, right? What it's going to do is allow the quarterback to put something behind it. And then what you're also doing by working that side of the field is make sure there's not a defender outside of you.
3 minutes and change remaining, second quarter. That's a good run. Nifty. First down for Jones, tackled by T.J. Hall.
Yeah, Jones is really an instinctive runner, and I think ultimately what I see from him is just his energy and his aggressiveness. He runs with an emergency. Look at him. Even in his stance, you know this guy is ready to go play. He's got a fullback in front of him. That's old school Wisconsin football right there. Makes a big difference.
Fresh set of downs for the Badgers. Trying to get on the board. They need something positive before the half. Simmons wide open. This time the catch is made. It's Mason making up for the drop a moment ago. Mason with some strong hands.
I like this play right here, man. The fact that Ethan Hurkett, number 49, is able to get pressure and force the switch route underneath. A nice little triangle created there by the receivers on the over. This is a levels concept. Open receivers running at different levels. You got some choices to make. Brave call.
Both quarterback and tight end there were playing FCS football a year ago. Simmons and Mason have come a long way. Great tackle in the backfield. Jackson Rexroth. That'll be a loss of 3.
You get hit by a guy that's 230 pounds, man. Off that edge at the will linebacker position. Nobody behind him. That one's smarts, big time. Great instinctive play.
Let's see how aggressive Wisconsin will be. They don't need to get a playoff before the 2-minute timeout. Yeah, they're just going to chill for a bit. All right, so we've got the 2-minute timeout. Wisconsin with really nothing to hang their hat on through the first 28 minutes. They've got a chance here to feel good about themselves. Can the Badgers get on the board? We'll see when we come back to Madison.
Coming up on the State Farm Halftime, Indiana is officially a force to be reckoned with. John Mateer returns in time for the Red River Rivalry, but would that be enough for Oklahoma? And Penn State adds insult to injury. Eric and Spencer is so bad in Penn State. It's so bad, but you guys are good. We'll see you at the half.
That's our guy.
Sarge.
All right, thank you, Mike. Looking forward to it. We're at Camp Randall, folks. There's a lot of history in this building. Wisconsin's trying to make history. They've spotted Iowa 20 points. Now trying to claw their way back into this one. Second out of 13. Hunter Simmons batted. And it falls to the ground. Max Llewellyn got a hand on it.
Yeah, boy, I tell you what's rare that you see a left defensive end, but Phil Parker is winding these guys up, along with Ethan Burkett opposite of him, number 49. 48 comes this time. Watch him. He's going to isolate and then time this thing up. We talk about affecting the quarterback. If you can't get home, you can't get those hands up in the air. And boy, does he ever right there. Excellent play by Max Llewellyn.
This may be four-down territory. Wisconsin needs to get something going on. We've got a $1:54 remaining second quarter. They need 13. Maybe get 8 here and try and get 5 next play. Or maybe get it all deep to the end zone. Incomplete. Nice defense played by T.J. Hall on Jaden Ballard.
I saw some early contact in there, and Jones in for a call on that particular play. And again, there was some contact, but was it enough to sell it downfield? Great job of holding that safety. You got to put the ball out in front of him. Let him go get it. You know, with all of that field out in front of him, you got to carry that ball and let him run to it. That's why you have the deep over route. It's there. You've got all that water. Throw that ball and let the receiver run underneath it.
So Wisconsin didn't want to have to, but they're going to have to bring the punt team on. Weegan calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 5. Almost think you should let that thing go.
Yeah.
There's no benefit to catching that. But when you got hands like Weegan, do whatever you want, right?
Yep.
Fly traps. How aggressive will Iowa get here?
Well, I don't think you need to get aggressive. You know, I think you've got this lead. You're 20 points sitting up there. You'd love to get a shutout, right? And you don't have to say a whole lot if you walk away here with the goose egg sitting up there.
We haven't seen a timeout called yet.
Nope.
If you're just joining us, didn't know, Wisconsin will get the ball to begin our second half. So even if they're down 20-0, they're still going to have the ball first. Can't imagine Iowa being aggressive here.
No. Stretch play. Oh.
Wow. There's a lot of talk last couple of days about Wisconsin and the end of their game a week ago against Michigan. They were down a bunch, 24-10, but Wisconsin chose not to call any timeouts in the fourth quarter. I was thinking maybe if they could have got a decent stop on first down, they could have called timeouts and see if they could force Iowa to punt and get the ball back. But that may have flown out the window now.
I think what the elixir is going to be for this game, and so far, particularly for Iowa with this lead, and they are perfect. They know how to protect the lead. With 6.8 yards per carry, Moulton has given them a template to follow in the second half of the game. That doesn't mean they're not going to be aggressive and try to get points down the field. But I think Tim Lester knows the balance that he needs to get points, but yet stay in control.
1:20 remaining second quarter.
It's corner cat blitz.
This is Moulton. He's got blockers. He's got the first down close to the 40-yard line. That's a gain of 16 for Kamari Moulton, the marketing major from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Watch Kamir Latimer, the nickel, number 1, comes off the edge, and he is screaming, man. But the problem is he's set up for it. He took himself totally out of the play and trying to get an outside hit. The play is made right underneath him. Tries to get there. You know, he had the right intention, but boy, I tell you what, the blitz was on at the wrong time. They baited him into it.
Iowa calls the timeout. They still have 2 more timeouts remaining.
Here's a sneaky blitz right here coming up. It's called a field blitz. And off that slot, he comes, but he goes right past him, man. That's an outstanding job play calling by Tim Lester here. Understanding what they're likely to do, sees the formation, great play call.
Iowa's won the last 3 times these two schools have played each other. Kirk Ferentz's bunch had a huge, convincing win a year ago, 42-10, that still haunts the Badgers. But the Badgers can't seem to do anything about it. Gronowski, pass is complete. Welcome back, Reese Vanderzee. That's the first catch of the year for the sophomore from Rock Rapids, Iowa.
I get a little 2-minute drill action going on here. They are moving the ball a little aggressive. He's got a bail technique here. That's where the outside cornerback turns his shoulders and runs away with his eyes focused in on the quarterback.
We haven't seen this since like Ricky Stanzi with Iowa. Who you knew they had a 2-minute offense? 9 more yards for Moulton.
Well, I'm telling you, he is really doing an excellent job. He was sitting at right 6.8 yards a carry. That thing is probably ticked up just a bit. And Kirk Ferentz is on to something right here. The nice blitz mix of run and pass is working right now for Iowa.
Iowa's a team over 100 yards rushing. That's the one thing that Wisconsin did really do well, is their defensive front 7 has done a good job of limiting opposing teams running, but not so much today.
Yeah, but both of them respectively are top 10 against the rush, you know, and they came in with that reputation. But I think today, if you had to say, put me in the corner and say, which team is rushing the ball more, it's obvious by the numbers that Iowa is. But Iowa systematically is doing a better job. And Mike Tressel's bunch, they're still solid, man, but they're finding those nice soft spots on those little cutback lanes, and they've got to stay home.
Xavier Williams now in the backfield next to Gronowski. Second down.
Just a 4-man rush, 5 to block him.
That's Williams out of the backfield. Did he get out of bounds? Yes, he did. That'll stop the clock. 39 seconds remaining in our second quarter.
You know, Austin Brown and those guys have got to be sure they tackle, man, when they get up there, and particularly in the 2-minute drill.
Clock's moving again.
Nice.
Another catch for Vanderzee, his second catch on this drive.
Vanderzee getting that big long body out there, and well, he is an asset, man. When you start to get down in that red area, I'd love to get him matched up on a corner, even a safety back there, man. Safeties tend to be a little bit taller, but to get that guy on an island to go up and make a play for you is something special to see.
Vanderzee was expected to be a big part of what they're doing, but he got hurt the week before the opening game of the season. This is his first game action of the year. 8th play of the drive. Dump off across the middle. That's short to the tight end, Vanami. And I was going to have to call a timeout now, right?
Yep.
Nope, they don't. They've got one. They're going to have to wait. Leach has come all the way back from the end zone.
Yep.
That's a ton of time. A flag is down. I don't think Iowa was set.
No, they're going to have a formation issue. You got to have 7 on the line of scrimmage. You got an illegal procedure.
So Iowa was super impressive, beginning this drive at the 5-yard line, matriculating down the field, but then this.
Illegal formation offense. 2 players in the backfield, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
You got to have 7 on the line of scrimmage, and those, to your point, Eric, they didn't get set, and you got too many men in the backfield in that formation.
Kirk Ferentz doesn't see this a lot. His team's rarely penalized, and that's the first charge penalty of the day.
And they did it while they were rushing.
Ooh, this is going to be a bomb.
Timeout, Iowa, 3rd and final in the half.
Iowa calls a timeout to give Drew Stevens a moment to get his thoughts together. I was watching Stevens before the game.
Is he drilling them long?
I saw 59 yards.
59, yeah, I saw him get a big bomb earlier.
That's like Nate Kading range right there. Let's talk about the turnover, Spencer.
Well, they were big and significant. Again, we talked about at the top of the show, Hunter Simmons. That defensive line was in his face early and often. Even when he set his foot, he throws it right into the hands of waiting defenders coming down the field. Aaron Graves there. And again, he got protection when he needed it. But this one right here comes up in the opposite direction. There's turnovers taking place on both sides. But again, what Whiskey cannot afford to do is laterals, things of this nature. These are mistakes. The big games like this are lost, not won. And here comes the kick.
49 yards for Drew Stevens. He's made a pair of field goals today. This will be the longest. Plenty of leg.
Yeah.
Good God.
Wow.
That would have been good from about 65. And Iowa stretches their lead to 23-0. Over the last 2 years combined, they have outscored Wisconsin 65-10. Wow. Let's send you back to the studio where Mike Hill is standing by.
And he's running with instincts, short-handed. He's got a couple of battery mates are down. He's picking up the slack.
70 first-half yards for Kamari Moulton. Let's take a look at first-half stats, sponsored by Graduate by Hilton. Spirited stays in your favorite college towns. Not surprising, time of possession being won by Iowa. Turnover battle was huge. 3 committed by Wisconsin, just 1 on the interception of Gronowski.
Partner, you know the statistic, you know, upwards, if you're trailing by 2 or more in the turnover category after 60 minutes, you're going to win 91% of the time. And if it's 3, I mean, that goes out the window. But there's something that's a bit of a caveat when you're talking about Big Ten. Big Ten, the number is actually even higher because of the style of ball that they play. And again, it's beginning to change a little bit as teams that have entered the league as we expand into this 18-field format are getting more aggressive offensively. But for teams like Wisconsin and Iowa, it still remains true. Got to hang on to the football.
Even with the 3 turnovers for Hunter Simmons, he's been the only quarterback for Wisconsin. Last week when they played at Michigan, Simmons split the time with Danny O'Neal, who had a handful of snaps, but no snaps at all for Danny O'Neal. It's been all Hunter Simmons.
Well, I think if you make that tough decision, this is a gutsy call and decision to keep him in there, but you don't want to destroy his confidence because, again, no matter how much he came in ballyhooed, there's not a lot of experience there. Not a lot of experience. You don't want to destroy his confidence.
That's Danny O'Neal looking on. 5 touchdowns for Danny O'Neal, 5 interceptions. That was his bugaboo. Dylan Jones met in the hole and brought down immediately. Carson Shire with a tackle.
Well, Phil Parker's got that defensive stop unit filling those backside gaps, those holes that were leaking early in the first half. They've shut that down. That's what adjustments are all about. Again, we just showed you what Eric is able to do. Watch the inside linebacker play here. Feel and react and slide. He's not going to go anywhere other than where the runner is coming. That's just a great job of sensing where Dylan Jones is going and following him.
So it's 3rd down and 4. This is Jones out of the backfield. Pass was high, and that really blew up the rhythm of it all.
Yep. You know, it's all about execution, Eric. We've seen it on downfield plays where guys that could have exercised some of the field that was available to him and be thrown open, but because the ball was not placed where it could have been caught, that one is high and away. That's tough for a back. You know, he's not catching the ball like a receiver every down. That's an ordinary catch for a wide receiver, not for a running back.
So it'll be a 3 and out for the Badgers. Not what they were hoping for. Weegan, room to run. Makes the first man miss. And Weegan out across the 40. That man is not afraid. 46-yard punt, 17-yard return for Weegan.
I think that was Grant Dean in there that nailed him pretty good. Number 16, he nails him. Watch this one right here, partner. His Arnett was in there as well. Special teams, man. You can make a lot of money on special teams, literally and figuratively these days.
Yeah, Weegan, he's the type of guy that he's going to be making money, you'd imagine. He has had a punt return and a kickoff return for a touchdown this year and last year. That's unheard of at the college level. All right, Gronowski leads the offense. He'll start under center. He's got Kamari Moulton behind him. Up by 23. Iowa's focus is working on that clock, limiting possessions.
Well, this is the brand of ball where you can afford to do what you just did. If they're going to give the ball back to you, keep it on the ground, continue to rush it, and control the clock. Harder to score points against a top rushing defense. One of the top in the nation. Phil Parker stop unit. This is what you call protected lead here. 75% run mix.
Tight formation. They put Weegan in motion. Moulton, like he shot out of a cannon, across the 50 out of the 40. This guy picks up speed quickly.
He really does. And, you know, I saw some of this against Rutgers, man, when they took care of them. And just watch his ability to hit this hole instinctively. He cuts back, avoids the backside pressure that's there. And then once he gets his shoulders turned north and south, he can subtly turn his body and get extra yards after it. He can bowl you over. So sometimes when you try to settle in, he'll run you over.
Third straight carry for Moulton.
You know, we've talked about Yak over the years ad nauseum, but you watch this guy, man, every time he's touched, Eric, he's going to get 3 or 4 yards after that initial contact. I mean, he just runs with that type of passion.
Well, he'll get a blow. Goes to the sideline. Just for a moment. Xavier Williams, who's got a decent amount of tick, along with Nathan McNeil. That's been the 3 running backs that the Hawkeyes have used. They give it to Williams. Stutter step in the hole. He's got another first down.
Yeah,
Sebastian Cheeks a tackle.
Yeah, Eric, you can tell the preparation is there, whether it's Williams, you know, Moulton, any of these backs, McNeil, all of them are reading this thing the same way. And what you're doing is you're basically demonstrating the preparation that you've had all week long, because all of them are seeing the same reads. And as a result, they're getting similar yardage. Outstanding job of preparation.
This is exactly what Kirk Ferentz was hoping for coming out of the locker room. Keep the foot on the gas. 4 straight runs. 5 straight runs.
Nice.
Williams to the corner. He's there. Touchdown, Iowa. What an impressive drive coming out of the halftime locker room. Really can't ask for anything more. Nothing but runs and a touchdown.
Got the tight end short motion, inside zone, X-Man. He's coming in there, man. He transforms. Nothing special about this. He protects the ball and gets in the end zone, north and south. So they've been working that inside tackle gap, ISO, any of those power plays inside, all of them are working because those backs are reading so well.
Wow, this is a rivalry game, and it is one-sided, all in favor of Iowa. Just can't do it any better. 30, rip, Hawkeyes. $30-0. It's all Iowa. Still time for Wisconsin, if you believe. Iowa rushing tonight. They are out rushing Wisconsin by 109 tonight, which is exactly what they've done all season long. On an average, they outrush their opponent by 109.4 yards per game.
They've got a quarter and 3 quarters left to play, man, so that number may even improve.
Vinny Anthony on the return.
Nice.
Wisconsin looking for a spark. Anthony got thumped. That guy's tough, though.
Yep, they're still getting after it, man. Looking good in those throwback uniforms. And
yeah, what do you think of the throwback uniforms for Wisconsin?
I like them. They're kind of a hybrid, man. They've got kind of little bits and pieces of different eras. I noticed that. It's not just like one singular year. It's kind of pulling from several.
The simple block W on the helmets, that's the block W that they wore between 1978 and 1990.
Yep.
They've got some little accoutrements on the sleeves. You see Bucky Badger on the sleeve there, the W. They had that back in the 80s as well. Dylan Jones has got the football. He's still playing hard. Tripped up by Wampa. That's a gain of 8 on first down.
And they're doing what they do. Jeff Grimes still using some of that jet motion to try to get those guys softened up in the middle, and it works. You know, anytime you see a guy running across a formation horizontal like that, and then there's a quick hitter up the middle, I guarantee you somebody has been diverted by their eyes by that guy running that fast out of there. And that's usually how you get great angles. And here's Jeff Grimes right there with the black hat on. One of the great football minds in the game.
First year in the Big Ten for Jeff Grimes.
Nice cut.
Jones. We've been talking a lot about Carson Shire here in the third quarter, part of that tackle.
Yeah, but Carson Shire did a wonderful job of staying home on that play, man. And that will linebacker position, that flow, watch him shut it down. And he's sitting there anchoring his position. You can see him inside. And then he comes back, whoop, stays home, fills that gap. And he's got a battery mate there that finishes off for him right there. That's Hawthorne, Bryce, number 96, 296 pounds. And along with that guy right there, number 43, Shire. Got him.
3rd down and 1. That'll be enough for the 1st down. You saw Hunter Simmons barking out the cadence. He's never going to get Iowa to jump. This is the least penalized team in all of college football. No. They held their water, just couldn't stop Jones before the marker.
It's rare that these guys make mistakes. I mean, I think I saw one mistake that I talked to Phil about, and you were in the call when I mentioned it. It was just like a combination coverage where they allowed a guy to get behind them and on a touchdown. That doesn't happen. It's rare that a Phil Parker back end does something technically wrong.
Whole lot of Dylan Jones here in the 3rd quarter. And he's going to end up with a whole bunch of bruises. Every time he gets it, he is whacked. Another tackle by Carson Shire. One of the many Iowans on the Hawkeye roster, as always. He's from Iowa Falls.
Yep. I like the approach, though. I like the physicalness. Despite you got this 30 spot here, the only way you work these things out is to work these things out. And Kirk Ferentz knows that. He's been there in the past over the years. But the dean of this conference is on top right now, and he's really playing it well. Nice.
Jones, another carry. Yeah, it's clear that Luke Fickell, Jeff Grimes, and Wisconsin, they're just trying to feel good about themselves. But this is not a drive that's going to help them try and win this game.
No, it may not.
It may take 8 minutes if they score a touchdown.
But you're actually building for the future. You don't. That's not a narrative that you have to trumpet out there, Eric. It's just one of those things. Hey, look, guys. It's virtually impossible for us to spot these guys. That's the internal narrative that's going on. But we physically are going to get better in this game. Mentally going to get better.
Cade Giacomelli comes in on 3rd down. Catch is made. That's Anthony. That's who Simmons trusts, and it's a 1st down for Wisconsin.
You know, Simmons has got a big arm, quick release and all that stuff, but at some point in time when he matures, he's going to be able to go through his progressions that he's going to see. On that last play in particular, he had Cade Giacomelli wide open in the flat. Wasn't a primary receiver, but man, a quarterback with utility has got to be able to find those outlets.
Now Simmons under center. It's going to be an end around. Anthony dropped it. There may have been something there, but he dropped it, and that allowed all the Hawkeyes to come on top of him. And it's another tackle for Shire.
And I feel so bad for Jeff Grimes. I mean, he had that thing dead to rights. You had the guards going one direction. You see them going left, and then the reverse going the opposite direction. They don't have the numbers necessarily, and probably he's outflanked. But just the sheer ability to get that misdirection going tells you they're still trying to fight here.
They lose 9 on that play.
Nice.
They get it to Giacomelli, and he gets back to lost yardage and then some.
He had that same outlet to the opposite side of the field, and basically all Jeff Grimes did is flip the formation and got it to Giacomelli. An outstanding job of playing the game in real time and understanding where the assets are.
So it's 3rd down and 5. It's got to the point now where maybe Wisconsin would go for it on 4th down if they don't get it here.
Love the disposition. Look at Jeff. He's kind of methodically working down his shot sheet and his play calling, and he's going to play it. He's both a formula and a feel guy.
They run it with Giacomelli, and he's short, but close enough to probably go for it, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. You know, sometimes it's not so much about the play, it's the players, right? You get the ball in the hands of the guys that are playing hard and going to make something happen. You know, you can design stuff all day. I mean, as we've talked about ad nauseum, Phil Parker's one of the best at structurally stopping you. But if you've got guys and Joes that can play at a higher level, it'll destroy structure and function every time.
So it's 4th down. Putting the cards on the table. No pressure at all. Oh, my.
Oh, man.
Didn't need to throw it at that point. He had plenty of time.
I'm not quite sure where he's going with that. I mean, I understand where he's throwing the ball, but I'm not sure that read takes him there, man. Wow.
So a decent drive for Wisconsin, 10 plays, but it ends on downs. College football on FS1 is sponsored by Graduate by Hilton. Spirited stays in your favorite college towns. A lot of people's favorite college town, Madison, Wisconsin. Maybe in October, not so much in January and February.
Well, unseasonably warm today.
Mark Gronowski, first-year starting quarterback for Iowa. He grew up a Badger fan in the Chicagoland area, suburban Naperville. But he's playing against Wisconsin for the first time and doing well. Nothing spectacular, but leading his team to a 30-0 stiff arm on the Badgers. This is the first pass of the second half for Iowa, and it's incomplete, and a flag comes down. Emilio Agard on coverage.
There are fouls by both teams. They will offset. Ineligible receiver downfield, offense. Pass interference, defense, first down.
Okay, so just wipe that from your memory banks. Nothing happened. Oh, partner, Iowa's built for this. They rarely have 30-0 leads, but when they do, they know how to play with it.
Yeah, and part of that is the role of the quarterback. In this offensive scheme, historically, they've been stewards of the system.
Back to the ground with McNeil. Got what was there to be got. Tackled by Ricardo Hallman. Gain of 6.
It's a great job, you know, just finishing with your pads down low. Got a guy on the edge trying to stop you from making the play, but Hallman and company trying to stop him. Did a great job of stopping him, but once again, additional yards after that contact.
This is an interesting portion of the schedule for Iowa. A win tonight, they go to 2-1. Their next game is against Penn State, which is going to be at home. And I know some people are like, oh my goodness, Penn State's coming to town.
They're reeling, man.
That's not the Penn State we're talking about.
It's not.
In case you missed it, Penn State lost again today.
Wow.
They lost against Northwestern. They are not even on the ropes. They could be dead on the side of the road.
And that's amazing that, you know, just talking to Coach Ferentz last time we were here and then this time as well. He talked about there being ebb and flow in the course of his career and had some really nice nuggets. And one of the things we talked about is the tough years. That's exactly what Penn State is going through right now. They've got to be able to survive this. The irony is they just plucked one of the top defensive coordinators a couple of years ago from a national championship team. And they had no explanation, Jim Knowles.
On third and short, they get it to the tight end because they're Iowa. That's what they do. Hayden Large has the first down, and then he trips and falls.
I mean, didn't Large fall over here earlier? I mean, it was just we got to sit Large down, man, and work on him.
His feet are a little bit too large for his body.
Turf monster got him again.
I'm sure Kirk probably didn't care. He just wanted the first down to work on the clock again.
Absolutely, coaching point.
Kirk Ferentz's first year. 1999, the Hawkeyes went 1-10. Built something, though.
Yep, no question. Old Power Eye.
Moulton. Short gain. All right, so we're talking about Iowa and how they have a chance to really feel good about themselves going forward. Wisconsin, how far away are they from possibly getting themselves out of this hole? This is a tough road right there and right now.
Yeah, it's tough. And once again, I think you play the long game. There's a finite game and then there's the infinite game. I think what you have to do is understand this is a big picture thing. And I don't care who you are, what you're thinking out there. Year 3 for Luke Fickell. Some people are going to say he's hot seat on the way out, all that stuff. He's a great coach, an unbelievable human being with a great infrastructure in place. You've just got to understand the competition context that you're in as a Big Ten school. Again, surrounded by a history that has to need a certain player to play in this system. They've got to work beyond that, and it's going to take them a while. They've done it with the defensive front. You can see the success there.
I'm sure that a lot of people who support Luke Fickell are going to say, hey, it's always been the quarterback. Tanner Mordecai, was Van Dyke last year. This year, Edwards. No one's really been healthy to quarterback this offense. Is it just that, or is it more than that? I
think it's a combination of the system, the combination of being in a conference that doesn't ask the quarterback to win games. You're asked to be a steward of a game.
Third down. Iowa trying to stay on the field offensively. And that's going to bring up fourth down. A great tackle is made right when the catch is made by Moulton. So it's fourth down. And it looks like the Iowa offense may stay on the field.
You know, I think also, partner, there's different ways to win games, right? You can win it with mobile quarterbacks who are truly runners, dual threats. You can win it with guys that have big arms. You can spread it out, but you got to have the complementary talent. If you look historically, maybe occasional Tim Dwight, you're not going to find a lot of elite athletes all spaced all over the field in the Big Ten Conference. You may have one or two. You're not going to find a bunch of them.
Fourth down at 5. Play clock's down to 3. And they're just trying to draw him off sides. Did they take the timeout, or are they just going to take the penalty? Yeah, it's just going to be a penalty. No timeout was called.
Yeah, partner, while we're sitting them waiting for them to sort this thing out.
5-yard penalty, fourth down.
You've raised a bigger issue because with the entrance of Oregon, UCLA, USC, they're going to actually accelerate and pull these other schools with them that are historically more in the 4 yards in a cloud of dust kind of thing. They're going to pull them with them, particularly as they continue to have success. The more successful they are, the Iowas, the Wisconsins are going to be forced to find the kind of athletes that can compete in that context. That's what's going to happen, and that's what Wisconsin is right now.
Maybe the final play of the third quarter. End over end punt. Ballard calls for the fair catch and makes it. 33-yard punt. Wisconsin will start at the 10-yard line. Okay, 4 fingers in the air. Winning time. Iowa feeling really good about their chances. They lead Wisconsin 30-0. The highlight of the Badger game for Badger fans. Jumping around here in quarter number 4. It is a 30-0 lead for Iowa, but the folks don't care as long as they can jump around. This is a treat.
Man, you know, I've jumped around here a lot, but that was the first time I actually felt it. You know, I was jumping around myself. I couldn't feel it, but I'm stationary now. I can literally feel this place rocking.
Interesting to see on the sidelines. I was looking, Iowa almost to a man. Everyone was jumping around on their sideline. No Wisconsin Badger football player was jumping around. Fourth quarter. Hunter Simmons has taken every snap for the Badgers. Hands it off to Dylan Jones. First down carry. Wisconsin just trying to get something going so they can work towards something next week. They've got another home game next week. It'll be against Ohio State, the #1 ranked team in the country.
Yeah, well, the film doesn't lie. It doesn't matter if it's Ohio State or if it's any team on the schedule. You're looking at your group. That's all you're concerned about if you're Luke Fickell. Who's showing up to compete despite the goose egg on the scoreboard? Who's a Wisconsin Badger? Who's committed to the program? Who can we rely on?
Dylan Jones has now carried the football 16 times. Tries to make that catch, but too quick. Seen that a couple of times. Hunter Simmons, guys are 10 feet away, and he throws it like it's 80 miles an hour.
You know, in the open, we talked about his quick arm, his big arm, and a quick release. You got to have touch, too. You know, a quarterback has got to know when to take it off. He's not pushing the ball downfield. There's no reason to have mustard on that ball. I mean, that's the running back. Once again, you throw the ball different to a running back than you would a receiver.
You caught balls in the NFL from Joe Montana and Warren Moon.
Warren Moon, yeah.
Who threw a more catchable ball?
Well, Joe was a more catchable ball, but in terms of a beautiful ball, nobody threw a better ball. I don't care who you are than Warren Moon. Warren Moon threw the best looking ball in the world.
Ball used to spinning off those fingertips. Yep. Hunter Simmons going to run for the first down. Seems kind of weird to say, but Warren Moon is actually part of this conference.
Yeah, Washington.
He played at Washington.
Yeah.
which at the time I think was in the Pac-8. Then, of course, Pac-10, Pac-12, and now in Big Ten.
Yep. Won a Rose Bowl and did some wonderful things. And it's really, in hindsight, you think about it, the guy had to go to the
CFL for like 8 years.
Six years ago there. And then Bud Adams signed him with the Houston Oilers for a big deal. But I shake my head when I think about that. He's still got to be the only guy that's in 2 Hall of Fames, right? Quarterback in both the Canadian Hall of Fame and the NFL Hall of Fame. He's in both.
Cade Giacomelli. Man, that defense for Iowa is rabid.
Yeah, they are, man.
Bryce Hawthorne's had a nice day. He makes the tackle along with Jaden Montgomery. How about a tip of the cap to number 36?
Yeah.
Jaden Montgomery is a junior. It's his first collegiate start. And as the middle linebacker wearing the green dot, communicating with the defensive coordinator, Phil Parker, he's leading a shutout on the road.
And he looks like a middle linebacker. Look at him. He's got those shoulders, and he's got those hips, right? They jut out like an Australian reef. He's just solid.
Second down and 10. Giacomelli. We were talking to Phil Parker, the defensive coordinator for Iowa, about Jaden Montgomery, and said, hey, he's only 5'10".
Yep.
Let's talk about his size. Is that going to be a problem? He shut us up with 2 words. He said, Bob Sanders.
There you go.
Bob Sanders, one of the greatest safeties of all time. He was 5'8".
Yep.
And he started Iowa, and they will always say, we don't care about your size if you play like Bob Sanders.
Talk about all those Tampa 2 coverages. The guy that was the nastiest, he was the one that really made that defensive scheme possible. Tony Dungy wasn't afraid to put him anywhere. That guy would come up and run for us like there was no tomorrow.
Looking for a big play down the sideline, and really, they've never been available. Deshaun Lee running stride for stride with Jaden Ballard.
Deshaun Lee is just about 5'10", man, 189 pounds. That's great instinctive defensive coverage there, again, by number 8, Deshaun Lee, the cornerback. Just a wonderful job of eyeing the ball and understanding that he's got a friend that is the sideline to help him out. Great man-man coverage.
So that drive lasts about 3 minutes, but it's going to result in a punt.
They better make him work for this, because this guy right here can make you pay. Let's see if he directional punts this to the far left. They got to make him work. Yep.
And it goes out of bounds. Not a good kick at all.
Nope, it's not.
And that's just the threat of Caden Weegan that forces a bad punt. Just 17 yards on that punt. Iowa ball when we come back. College football on FS1 is sponsored by Graduate by Hilton. Spirited stays in your favorite college towns. Here in Madison, it is all Iowa. Hawkeyes lead the Badgers 30-0. They've got the football. 12 minutes remaining, fourth quarter. With Spencer Tillman, I'm Eric Collins. Mark Gronowski banged up over the last couple of weeks. Didn't know whether or not he's going to be able to play. He has taken every snap for the Hawkeyes. Kamari Moulton pushes forward. All right, Spencer, you've been in the game for a long time. Let's talk about some of the things that will be said to both these teams as we go forward, dealing with this game and moving forward in the second half of the season.
Well, if you're the team that's on the short end, you typically have the most to gain, right? And so if I'm Luke Fickell, I'm telling his teams, focus on the things that we can control. The scoreboard doesn't really define us. It's our efforts that define us. And so if you can get the team to recenter themselves on the controllable things, it creates focus. It's one of the things that they can do.
Slant passes a little bit too high for K.J. Parker.
And you also focus on the fact that you're playing one play at a time, right? So everything has to be reduced down. You're not looking big picture at anything. Every play is an opportunity to improve your skill set and get better at what you're doing. And the film's not going to lie. They're going to be assessing it. And believe me, in the era that we're in now in college football, guys that were here, this ain't Bula Bula anymore. You ain't on scholarship, brother. You could be somewhere else or not here the next year. So you got to put your big pants on and go play.
Iowa probably wants to work on the clock. This is probably going to be something, either a run or something that's going to be caught. Yep, that's close to a run.
Yep.
So Moulton's got it.
Oh, nice.
And Moulton's got the first down. That is a dream scenario for Iowa. They get the first down, The clock continues to move, and they've got 3 more downs to work with.
And I just love it. You know, you get double digits in terms of yardage on the gain. You get a back that's averaging right at, should be close to almost 8. He's at 6.4 yards a carry right now by the latest numbers that I'm looking at. But every time he touches the ball, you give it to him twice, you're going to get a first down. You don't know what that does for a Tim Lester and the offensive coordinator that knows that if you give this guy the ball twice, I'm going to get a first down. It takes so much pressure off your quarterback.
Xavier Williams tackled from behind. Darrell Peterson. We've seen a steady diet of Moulton 15 carries. Williams now is 6. McNeil had 6 as well. As a former running back, did it bother you if you're having a game like Moulton to have to split time with 2 other guys?
No, it really doesn't. I mean, when I was in Oklahoma, man, we had like 7 or 8 running backs. And I can't remember where we were where the coach was talking about, and this was recent, and you may recall, he said, you know, I've been on rosters where you've had at Oklahoma 12 running backs on your team and like maybe 5 wide receivers or 4 wide receivers. And it's obviously flipped over the years. And so now the running back position isn't nearly what it was, but no, it never bothered me to split time with great players. They all made you better.
Weegan trying to get something going from his wide receiver spot. Sniffed out nicely by the true freshman linebacker, Cooper Catalano. They love this kid. He set the Wisconsin high school all-time record for tackles. He's from the Milwaukee area, he's from Richfield, Wisconsin. Looks the part, 6'1", 230. He said a lot of that weight has been added on recently, but it hasn't affected his speed.
And that's what you look for. You put it on properly, you can do that. Great athletic weight training programs allow you to do that these days.
Third and 12. Caught! That's Van Zee. Reese Vanderzee. Welcome back. His 3rd catch of the game. Playing his first game of the season. He's just short of the line to gain.
Long Daddy went and got that one, man. Watch this one. Great protection by Williams and company. Nice job. Pocket crushed on him a little bit, but when you got that long body, man, and it's thick too, he can come in there and protect that ball once he catches it.
And a timeout called by Wisconsin.
Timeout on the field.
Wisconsin calls the timeout, trying to defend this 4th and 1. We'll be back in a moment. $8:58 remaining, 4th quarter. Iowa's got the ball and a commanding lead. It's 4th down and 1. Wisconsin just called a timeout. Try and get their ducks in a row. Iowa really taking control of this game in the first half with 3 turnovers. They got 2 interceptions, and there was a backwards pass that they were able to jump on top of.
You know, irrespective of where Wisconsin is in their reclamation project, you've got to be impressed with how Iowa came in here and just owned this moment in this context on the heels of a previous year where they dominated at their place.
Gronowski, design rollout left side. And he's got enough for the first down.
Yeah, you can see on that particular play there, you got 3 defenders coming at him. Number 11 Sticks, not quite what he used to be in terms of mobility with the knee, but he's acquitted himself pretty well today. Turnovers helped him a great deal.
Yeah, Iowa coming off a bye. Their last game was against Indiana 2 weeks ago. Gronowski couldn't finish the game, had a lower leg injury, and there was some concern as to whether or not he'd be able to play anytime soon. But clearly a quick healer. He's played the entirety of today's game.
Oh.
Ball's knocked down at the line of scrimmage, looking for Vanderzee on a slant.
You know, that game you're talking about, partner, that was a quality loss, if I could say that. I know no one on this staff is going to be willing to accept that language, but just from an analyst standpoint, looking at a 5-point decision, that kind of outcome is something that you can take a lot of coaching points away from and be positive. I thought was well contested.
That is such a compliment to Coach Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers that you could say losing at home against Indiana is a quality loss. I don't think we've ever said that in the last 80 years of Big Ten football.
Yeah, isn't it the truth?
Yeah, but folks, Indiana, they are for real. Another win again today.
Man. Well, I mean, they've got so much athleticism across the board. I mean, that's an example of a program that has pivoted, right? They maybe not had the same level of historic cachet as a Wisconsin or an Iowa, but they've made the pivot. They've got athletes all over the field. They got a tight end that reminds me of Keith Jackson. They've got skill position all over the place, man.
The tight end, not the announcer.
Yeah, not exactly.
Oh, boy. Oh, Nelly. 3rd down and 9.
A little orbit.
They give it to Williams. And he's got the first down. Xavier Williams has got a touchdown. 19 yards, Xavier Williams. And the lead mushrooms to 36.
So if we're giving this X-Man a superpower, what would you give him on that part? He's
invincibility. You can't tackle him.
You can't tackle him. Watch him. He's low to the ground. He's got low center of gravity. He kind of reminds me of the bus, right? In that uniform, kind of looks.
How about Liddell Betts?
Yeah, Liddell Betts.
Yeah, that's a.
He's thick, man, but he showed great balance in getting into the end zone on that play.
Nick Bell.
Yeah,
I'll go Nick Bell, maybe.
I'll go with Nick Bell.
Not Tavian Banks. Not going to go there. Not even Sean Green.
Nah.
Wow. So last year, Iowa scored 42 points on Wisconsin. That's stuck in the Badgers' craw. Right now, the Hawkeyes have 37 points on the Badgers. Not bad. Well, they have played 99 times in this rivalry, Iowa and Wisconsin. There aren't too many beatdowns like this. 37-0. Iowa on top of Wisconsin. Another rushing touchdown for Xavier Williams. 19 yards to pay dirt. Only thing left to accomplish for Wisconsin is avoid the shutout. Vinny Anthony.
Oh, they're still popping, man.
Tackled at the 20-yard line. So we'll see. Will Hunter Simmons remain in the game? Wisconsin hungry for some kind of positives. Back in a moment.
2.
Start your Saturday strong with Big Noon. Explosive duo Bryce Underwood and Justice Haynes leading Michigan against Washington at the Big House. It all starts at 10 a.m. Eastern with Big Noon kickoff. Then it's Washington, Michigan, only on Fox.
Michigan.
Hunter Simmons remains in the game. We have not seen any of Danny O'Neal. Billy Edwards is not even in uniform. This is a Wisconsin team that has not scored, really hasn't even threatened much. And they've got Ohio State here at Camp Randall a week from now.
Well, I'll tell you what, this Hawkeye defense is just playing so sound. They're filling those backside holes open. They've not given up. There's Phil Parker right there, man. There's none better in the game. He's been around a long time, 14 years as a defensive coordinator here. Defensive back coach for a long time, over a dozen years in that role.
Giacomelli. We had a chance to talk to the offensive coordinator for Wisconsin, Jeff Grimes, who was going to match up against Phil Parker for the first time. And he said something I thought was really interesting. He said, you look at Phil Parker's defense, it's simple, but it's simply perfect.
Absolutely. You know, when I talk to Phil about his defense and I ask him questions, I'm asking purely as an analyst, and I ask him to say, what kind of range does this guy have? And he'll stop and he'll say, maybe not. But he plays the game with such great technical expertise that he covers up a multitudes of sin what he doesn't have. And that's just the kind of players that they recruit. And there's something to be said for structure and function.
Pass is high. Chris Brooks took a hit.
You know, systems work. You're a hoops guy, triangle. You know, great systems work.
Phil Jackson, yeah.
Phil Jackson, the triangle with Scottie Pippen, you know, Michael Jordan. That thing worked mainly because of the system, right? You got to have a great player like
Worked
Michael
just
Jordan.
as well when they had Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's
the system. It's the system.
Didn't work much for Phil Jackson anywhere he went. But when he had Mike and we had Kobe, he was great.
Difference. Yeah, you got to have players too. No question about that.
So we're under 6 minutes to play. Are these still valuable reps for Hunter Simmons? Or is it just, at this point,
You know, that's a great question, because I think you have to push the envelope of you a little bit. If you're Jeff Grimes, you got to be doing some things that challenges your quarterback. If you're not asking him to do things that are above and beyond just being a good steward of your system, it's not great. But right now they're trying to bubble screen here. That's, you know, that was a decision that if he made earlier, he probably would have thrown an interception. A lot of traffic there, man.
Cam Buffington, redshirt freshman, makes that tackle. So Iowa's still pitching a shutout, and they're using guys who really are on their 2 deep. They're now 3 deep type of guys.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to grow, though. Everybody, these are meaningful reps because you're asking guys to run your system. And to the extent that you stay in line with that, these are quality reps.
Caden Weegens out of the game. He won't return this punt. It'll be Sam Phillips.
No, get away.
Nice punt, 47 yards. And Iowa will have the football, try to milk the final 4:23 away when we return. College football on FS1 is sponsored by Graduate by Hilton, Spirited Stays in your favorite college towns. We're in Madison, Wisconsin, where it has been all Iowa really since the first quarter. They lead 37-0, and we've got a new quarterback coming in for the Hawkeyes. Bit of a surprise. It's Jeremy Hecklinski. We had him down as the 3rd-string quarterback. Hank Brown had played a bit. He was the number 2, we thought. But Hecklinski's going to get a chance to finish out this game.
Transferred from Wake Forest, and he's got some skill set. I've seen the guy play before. He's talented.
There's some people out there that say that name Hecklinski sounds familiar. He has an uncle, Jeff Hecklinski, who was a legend in the Chicagoland area, played at Illinois for a bit, and then finished off at, I think, Western Illinois. This is his nephew, Jeremy Hecklinski.
How about that?
All right, so final thoughts on the day for Mark Gronowski.
Well, I think ultimately, you know, he's played well. He played and competed. It's exactly what you needed to do to come in here and occasionally have a good throw to complement your passing game, your run game, and that's really what carried him. That's what set up the pass for him.
Gronowski's going to finish his day 17 for 24. It's kind of hard to do. He completed 17 passes for 107 yards. Like, that's really a nominal amount of yards for 17 completions.
But if your run game is as strong as it is, and again, the high percentage throws that they were making, they were not putting your team at risk. These were complementary plays to the system. The rushing game is what carried them today. Make no mistake about it. If you don't have, you know, 150 plus yards rushing or thereabouts, you can't do this. Your leading rusher had 70 yards at halftime, and Moulton did a wonderful job. He's going to end with 96 yards, averaging 6.4 yards a carry. X-Man has 7.9 yards a carry. Between the two of them, that right there is enough to carry you. You can have a pedestrian passing attack if you've got that kind of rush if you're Iowa.
For those of you looking for the New Mexico at Boise State game, it is available on FS2 and streaming live on the Fox Sports app. We will get you out there at the immediate conclusion of our game. Got to give some propers. That catch was made by Alex Eichmann. Alex Eichmann getting a chance to play. That's his first catch of the season.
You know, Gronowski's going to end with a 100 QB rating. It's not bad. You know, it's
kind of a fun catch for Eichmann. He's a native here of Wisconsin. He's from Sussex, Wisconsin.
a timeout.
Timeout, Iowa, their first of the half, 30 seconds.
Your first of the half comes at 2:19, and you're up 37-0.
Well, it's evening here in Madison, Wisconsin. We've had a full day around the Big Ten, and there's been some really fun games. How about the Northwestern Wildcats winning against Penn State? Penn State continues to really scuffle. Ohio State on the road in Champaign, controlling that game over the Illini. A battle of two ranked teams. Indiana, my goodness, is anything ever going to slow them down?
They
take down Oregon. And UCLA What's happened there?
Sometimes a change of leadership is all you need.
Just a stunning turnaround. Winless, then they beat Penn State a week ago, and they continue it on the road today. Okay, probably the final chance for Wisconsin to put points on the board.
Well, you know, in the worst way, the Hawkeyes want to get the shutout. Bragging rights again for another year.
Oh, my goodness. Just handed a note. This is fantastic. The last time Iowa shut out Wisconsin here at Camp Randall, 1929.
Holy cow, the Depression year, huh?
Jeez. Unbelievable. 96 years ago.
Well, Twain said it best. Those were the worst of times and the best of times. And tonight is a microcosm of it, at least on the scoreboard.
2-minute timeout.
We've made it to the 2-minute timeout. All right, can Iowa pitch a shutout here in Madison for the first time in 96 years? That's on the line when we come back. Tomorrow, the ALCS begins on Fox as Cal Raleigh and the Mariners look to steal Game 1 in Toronto against Vlad Guerrero Jr. and the Blue Jays. Game 1 of the ALCS. Coverage begins tomorrow, 7 Eastern on Fox. Interesting to note that Cal Raleigh is actually from North Carolina, but he's not from Raleigh, North Carolina. He's from Cullowhee. Shout out to all the Western Carolina Catamounts out there. That's mountain country. Final 2 minutes of our ball game. Can Wisconsin score and avoid the shutout? They have to do a lot of that quickly.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I know they're going to try to do it. Let's see how efficiently and effectively they move out of the huddle, the body language, and at least position themselves in a position to avoid the goose egg.
They're still huddling up, man.
They're not moving.
Oh, my goodness. What remains of the fans here, they at least want to see a score, and they're not giving themselves the best possible opportunity in these huddles.
Wow.
Gideon Atuka is the back in the game. It's been nothing but Hunter Simmons as the quarterback.
Nice.
It's going to be hard to score a touchdown running off tackle here. Well, it's going to get even harder for Wisconsin before it gets any better. Next week here in this building, they'll have Ohio State, Luke Fickell's alma mater, one of the best defensive linemen of his generation. But it's going to be a difficult preparation week for him. And then they got Oregon, you got Washington, Indiana, and Illinois. That's 4 ranked teams in the next 5. Oh,
I tell you, when he came from Cincinnati, he never would imagine this situation would be the way it is.
Uh-oh. Looked like he had a chance to pop it.
You know, I would really be preserving this to prevent this from turning into a Black Saturday, man. I really would. I'd get some points on those scoreboards somehow. You just don't want to get a goose egg and have that as the narrative. Still huddling.
This may be the final play of the game, the way that they're operating. Oh, my.
Wow.
That's how it ends.
That's
folks. Last 2 games in this series, Iowa has won by a combined score of 79-10. This is a rivalry game that has been decidedly one-sided. The Badgers shut out at home for the first time since 1980. Shut out here at home against Iowa for the first